This is Pocket Rocket Titan. This hazardous propulsion build is so strong this season thanks to the Mint retrograde, artifact mods, and armor set bonuses. It excels in ad clear, sustained boss DPS and survivability, and it's incredibly flexible depending on the content you're doing. It's taken me 2 weeks to finish this video because I keep finding more synergies to complement it and I have to re-record everything. Let's get into it. The hazardous propulsion Mint retrograde synergy is the basis of this build. The way that the Exodus rockets work is that precision hits with different weapon types load rockets at different rates, and the Mint retrograde loads them at a rate of 67% per precision hit, so you can load all 6 rockets with just 3 bursts. The 10-second rocket buff is more than enough time for 3 bursts, so you end up with a boss DPS rotation that repeatedly loops back on itself if you can recharge your class ability fast enough. To do that, we take advantage of the synergy we have with Tommy's matchbook and our subclass build. Tommy's matchbook is featured this season, and the catalyst applies Scorch during the ignition trigger phase and cures us when we get final blows. This turns the matchbook into a Scorch machine that can trigger ignitions and wipe out an entire battalion of ads in a single magazine and keeps us alive during the process. In our subclass, Ember of Singeing ensures that the matchbook keeps our barrier uptime as close to 10 seconds as possible, so we can maintain our rocket buffs throughout DPS windows. Char and Ashes support this as well, ensuring we can spread and accelerate our Scorch damage as fast as possible, and the Radiant Shrapnel artifact mod takes this to an even greater level. Matchbook also covers both Overload and Unstoppable champions by itself, thanks to the Scorch stacks, causing stunning ignitions. Our aspects are Soul Invictus for the sunspots, which heals us and scorches more enemies, and Consecration for the additional AoE Scorch and the guaranteed ignitions. Make sure to take the Throwing Hammer for this build. It can proc Radiance against targets too distant for Consecration and can be picked up for a free cure. In our artifact, we want all the elemental pickup mods for buffed fire sprites, Fever and Chill for situational radiance buffs, and especially Radiant Shrapnel for the insane Scorch value. Elemental Daze is a dark horse choice here because it also spreads Scorch everywhere and almost trivializes Overload champions by itself. The best Mint retrograde role for this build is Rewind rounds with Bait and Switch. Those two traits make the Mint a mini heavy weapon. If you don't have that role yet, prioritize Rewind rounds plus Elemental Honing or Chain Reaction for the extra ad clear value. For your heavy weapon, use your best rocket launcher. Ideally, you have a solar one that loads itself, especially with Reconstruction and a damage trait. Reconstruction has enormous throughput potential with our DPS window. If you don't have a good rocket launcher, you can buy an Ascendancy from the monument in the tower. It isn't perfect, but it is solar and has explosive light, which is a huge buff that's easy to stack with this build. For our stats, we want to stack class to at least 150, then melee and weapons as high as you can get them. The overshield we get with a high class stat is a big part of the survivability of this build. If you're taking a lot of damage, you always have your barrier to provide that overshield. The rest of your mods should center around ensuring you have a lot of special ammo at all times and buffing your melee and solar damage as well. Tommy's matchbook has a relatively low reload stat, so taking Harmonic Loader is a good choice. If you're able to reload fast enough, you can maintain stacks of ignition trigger without having to recharge it. When it comes to armor sets, we have a lot of options. I use the full Tech Sec set the most as it synergizes with our Exodus rockets, and we can disorient a lot of enemies with the concussive rounds bonus. With this setup, we don't have much issue dealing with any shields in the game. Another great option is the new Lustrous set, which buffs the matchbook and provides additional healing. This can be great in higher level content where the self-damage from the matchbook is more of a concern. If you've completed the Mythic campaign, you can benefit from the Ion Adapter set, which provides some damage reduction, something that this build lacks, and the Reactive Shock bonus can save you if you're being overrun. Depending on the content, I would take the full Tech Sec set or a combination of 2 Ion Adapter pieces plus 2 Lustrous pieces. Since this build is so good at ad clear and boss DPS, there is a loop for both. When facing a boss, you want to maximize your Exodus rockets, so stack 6 of them, activate your barrier to fire them, then swap to your heavy launcher, then to the Mint retrograde until the buff runs out. Since you're getting all of your Exodus rockets back with the Mint, you can then chain this buff repeatedly until you run out of Mint rockets. If you have downtime on your barrier, make sure to pull out the matchbook and stack Scorch on the boss to recharge it. This only happens when you aren't already rolling Scorch stacks on anything during your DPS phase and is pretty quick to deal with. Make sure to proc Radiance with your hammer and bait and switch if you have it. For ad clear, you want to open an encounter with your Consecration melee, then immediately pop a barrier for survivability. If you have rockets, they'll clean up some of the Scorch ads, but send your barrier even if you don't have any. Use Tommy's matchbook to scorch everything in the area and stack as many rockets with precision hits as possible. Find a major or a mini boss and just unload into its head. Use your barrier on cooldown until all red bar ads are dead and you can focus on the bigger combatants. Some pro tips for this build. While playing this build, treat your Mint Retrograde as a sniper/shotgun hybrid. If something's too far away from matchbook, snipe it with the Mint. If something's too close and you need to kill it fast, use the Mint. Use your Exodus rockets for this as well. Their effective range is 0 to 80 meters. Look for beefy enemies to charge your Exodus rockets on and stack Scorch and Ignitions. Radiant Shrapnel and Ignitions will make it easy to spread Scorch around the battlefield. Position yourself where you can see their head and they can't hit you, then unload the matchbook into it. Focus down red bar enemies for quick healing. Exodus rockets can jump over walls and track enemies around corners, so you don't have to leave cover if you position well. With the Tech Sec set, you can chain disorientations by breaking a shield with your Exodus rockets, then leave the shielded ad alone while you refill your rockets with the now disoriented ads nearby. When the shield recharges, do this process again to keep everything disoriented. Use your super as a utility, either when you need to be invincible immediately or to stun unstoppables quickly, and use it to reposition to a safe location before it ends. Now for some flex options. In some high-level content, Tommy's matchbook can become kind of a liability. If Ignition trigger damages you faster than you can kill ads, you might get sniped by a Hobgoblin and die. Instead, you can take a solar auto rifle or SMG with heal clip and burning ambition to simulate the matchbook without self-damage. Ahab Char is a nearly one-to-one replacement for the matchbook for this purpose, or you can use the new Solstice Yeartide Apex instead. When I run this variant of the build, I also swapped to Dragon's Breath for my heavy rocket launcher. It's a DPS loss, but it synergizes very well with the Scorching Fuel it spits out everywhere and it reloads itself. It also handles unstoppable champions intrinsically, so you don't have to depend on the Char or Apex to proc Ignitions with their smaller magazines. Another great swap for this build is to take Polaris Lance instead of Matchbook. This is probably the safest and slowest form of this build. To do this, drop the Consecration aspect for Roaring Flames and drop Ember of Torches for Ember of Solace, since you only need 4 precision hits to proc Radiance with the Lance. The perfect 5th trait and Radiant Shrapnel still spreads Scorch everywhere, and with enough procs on unstoppable champions, you'll still ignite them. The upside to using the Polaris Lance build is that it's very safe, but the downside is that it's incredibly boring. The build feels great to play, and it's just so strong right now. It isn't overpowered or broken or anything, but I've been clearing Grandmaster content with it without breaking a sweat, so it's in that sweet spot of being good but also actually fun to play. When the seasonal artifact rotates, it will probably no longer be viable, so make sure to try it out now and let me know what changes you make to fit your playstyle. If you like this video and want to see more, I'm already planning my next 2 build videos. When I make builds, I try to come up with something off meta and weird, so if you want to see them, do the like, comment, subscribe thing. I also stream almost every day on Twitch TV/SinIsMike. If you want to collaborate on future builds or watch me test new builds live, come check it out. Thanks for watching, see you next time.